What's up, guys? We're back. It's Friday. You know what time it is. It's What the Fitness. Now, we just address it real quick. Yes, this is a stain. And yes, it's semen. All right, guys, this week we're talking about... You know what that sound is. We got a mail-in.
It's mail, motherfuckers. Mail, motherfucker.
So we have Jamie Gills.
Jamie Gills.
Sent us a video.
Doesn't that sound like a mafia name? Hey, yo, send him down to Jamie Gills. Have him swim with the fishes. He's got gills so he can swim with the fishes.
Stop that. It's your favorite, Thomas DeLauer.
Yay! You know we've never done him on a What the Fitness. It's amazing it's been this long and we haven't.
I think you have.
Have we?
I think one of the first few, maybe like...
Was that a Fuckery Friday, though?
Actually, yeah.
That might have been Fuckery Friday.
Yeah, you're right.
It's still Fuckery Friday. We just renamed it because YouTube sucks.
What is the worst sugar that's out there on a label?
So first off, what is it with all these dudes that like every word they say pops on the screen in big, bold letters? Like, so cringe.
I could be gimmicky and I could break down and say these are the top 5 worst
You
sugars.
could be gimmicky. Well, I'm going to stop this a lot. I can tell already. I could be gimmicky. Bro, you're the epitome of fucking gimmicky.
But the fact is that wouldn't be staying true to science. And you need to know
Oh,
in science,
we wouldn't want that, would we, Tommy?
Operationalizing the variable. And that is
When you
defining
put it,
what truly
when you
is
draw it on the board, that
worst
makes it
in
legit.
different categories. Sugar is bad. We know that. I don't need to tell you that. But I do need to explain where sugars are bad and what sugar is bad in each respective category. For example, what sugar is worse when it comes down to gaining fat? What sugar is worse when it comes down to disrupting your gut biome, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's...
This guy's eyeballs look like they're going to like shrink back into his hypothalamus.
Focus on it.
Let's dive right into this. Hey, I do ask, it's very important that you hit that red subscribe button and then hit that little bell icon. And when you hit that bell icon, select all notifications. We're posting videos every single day. And if you're not getting a notification every single day, then that means that your notifications aren't set to the right setting. So please,
This is so cringe.
please
Can
hit
we
that
do
bell.
this?
It helps
Like
us
with
out
that,
so
that
much.
make a-
Okay, now I'm going to break this down into
every-
3 categories. Now, the second category,
I
I'm
could
going
do
to talk
crappy
about
videos
which
every
sugar
day.
is going to make you the most fat. So make sure you're keeping it locked in through this. But the first category we have to talk about is one that people generally understand, and that is the world of the glycemic index. So which sugar is worse in this category? You see, we look at glucose, and glucose gives us a scale of 100 on the glycemic index scale, which means that it spikes our glucose, it spikes our blood sugar really high. But did you know that there is a sugar that is worse than glucose out there?
Oh, tell
It's
me,
called
Tommy.
maltose. So if you see
Maltose.
maltose on a label, run the other way. See, maltose, believe it or not, has a glycemic index of 105.
Oh my
How is that
God.
even possible?
105 on a scale of 100. It means it makes you fucking explode. So let me explain the glycemic index just real quick. So a glycemic index is basically a measurement of how rapidly glucose appears in the bloodstream and how much it's able to deflect blood glucose in a short period of time. Glycemic index was kind of the rage about 20 years ago, where they thought maybe if we just fed low glycemic index foods, we could solve the diabetes problem. And in the short term, it appears that eating a lower glycemic index diet does seem to modestly improve blood markers. But if you want true long-term improvements, you've got to lose weight. Now, a low glycemic index diet may help you lose weight because it's usually very high in things like vegetables, fruit, foods that are quite filling. So you're not losing weight because it's low glycemic index. You're losing weight because it's high fiber and satiating. They've done studies where they've looked at high glycemic index versus low glycemic index with calories equated and seen no difference on weight loss and almost no difference on blood sugar control and blood lipids. So in the long term, if you lose the same amount of weight from either a low glycemic index diet or a high glycemic index diet, you're basically going to get the same benefits. Now, again, I would recommend that the low GI diet probably be a little bit better because you're getting more fiber and more nutritious foods in general by eating that diet. But Do you need to freak out about bananas or any kind of one particular sugar because it's high in the GI index? No. And oh, by the way, one of the reasons the glycemic index went out of favor is because they found when you consume a mixed meal, that is not just the carbohydrate source isolated alone, because that's how they measure glycemic index, is 50 grams of the carbohydrate source isolated by itself. When you mix it with protein and fat, guess what happens? It pretty much blunts it out and you get very little differences in glycemic index between different foods. So I'm pretty sure Tommy isn't going to tell us that, but hey, maybe he'll surprise me.
That means it spikes your blood sugar so high that it's spiking it higher than regular glucose. Okay? Now, where the heck are you going to find maltose? Maltose is coming from grains, so usually like starchy grains, things like that. You'll have it in small amounts there, but then what happens is people will extract it from that and use it as a sweetener. So usually like a hard candy or anything that's going to need a concentrated amount of sweetener in a low volume. So it's hidden in a lot of things. Now, maltose is one of those things that's going to kick you right out of ketosis. It's going to ruin a low-carb diet, but it may not make you immediately fat. It's just going to mess up your metabolism so you're fat maybe 6 months from now. Now, here's where
it's going to mess up your metabolism. What do you mean by that, Thomas? Please explain to me exactly how, if I have 1 serving of maltose, how that's going to mess up my metabolism. Please explain to me. Look forward to your rebuttal.
Where it really messes you up. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published a study that was done by...
Thomas is so adherent to the science, he uses really high-level science terms like, it really messes you up. I always see that in journals when I look them up. It's right there in the conclusion sections. If you eat maltose, this shit will fuck you up.
By Harvard University that found that subjects that consumed high glycemic sweeteners or high glycemic carbohydrates, irrespective of calories, so whether it was 5 calories or 100 calories, ended up, of course, having a high blood sugar spike, followed by a high insulin spike. But here's what's really crazy. If you look at the image on the screen, this shows an fMRI scan. They put these patients under an MRI, and they found that the portion of their brain that gives them a sensation of want just lit up like a Christmas tree, meaning it made them want to eat. So that
also lights up when you get hugs and any other shit that you like. Yeah, food that's high GI tastes better. You want to eat more of it. Yeah. So if you find that you have trouble controlling yourself, don't. But for people who are able to control their intake, not a big deal.
So that is how a high glycemic food can ultimately make you fat later on down the line. But let's talk about the one that you really are interested in.
So that's how high glycemic food can make you fat later on down the line. That's not what the researchers concluded in that study. And he just went from like, if we were on a journey from point A to point Z, he went from point A to point B and then just fucking jumped all the way to point Z.
That's the world of fructose, the one that's going to trigger de novo lipogenesis. De novo lipogenesis literally means new fat creation. It is creating new fat. Well, guess what? When you look at fruit, you see fructose, wow, that's only a 19 on a glycemic index scale. So compared to maltose, that sounds like a perfectly healthy carbohydrate. But here's where operationalizing the variable comes in handy, right? This is where we look at things.
Operationalizing the variable. What the fuck does that even mean? So this is when people like this put words together and jargon that doesn't actually fucking mean anything just so they feel like they can sound smart.
Okay, because it may not be bad in the glycemic index scale, but it's bad because it is the one that is going to get stored as fat very fast. You see, de novo lipogenesis is where your body creates fat from carbohydrates. And fructose, specifically high fructose corn syrup, is really bad because as soon as it's going through digestion, it's dropping into the portal vein and it's going into the liver.
Oh, wow, the portal vein. Everything goes to the liver from the portal vein, Tommy. Again, he's throwing in something superfluous so he can sound smarter.
To the liver, it goes through de novo lipogenesis and it stores as fat, specifically around the liver and around your midsection. So if you're gaining
I'm going to let him finish before I destroy his argument on fructose.
If you have a fatty liver, there's a good chance it's from this high fructose corn syrup. Now, fructose and high fructose corn syrup do some really gnarly things. Not only do they go straight to the liver, they also directly activate the enzymes, the DNL enzymes, that turn on de novo lipogenesis. And then they turn on the master switch called SREB1, which is sort of the general of the...
So this is what happens when you read mechanistic papers, but don't actually have a background in physiology.
General of the army of de novo lipogenesis. So basically, not only does it activate the soldiers that create new fat, it activates the general and the political parties that turn the soldiers on as well. So we have a double whammy effect. And then, well, guess what? It doesn't just cause fat accumulation, it stops what is called beta oxidation. So that means it stops fat burning from occurring at the mitochondrial level. So sure, it's one thing that you're creating new fat. But creating new fat wouldn't be as bad if simultaneously you were burning old fat. Well, guess what? This actually stops old fat from being burned while simultaneously allowing new fat to be created. De novo lipogenesis, in my opinion, is probably the worst of the worst. You have to be really careful with that. I want to read you a portion of the abstract that came from Digestive
He wants to read a portion of an abstract. I wonder why it's a portion.
And it says, several properties of fructose metabolism make it particularly lipogenic, meaning fat storage. Fructose is absorbed via the portal vein and delivered to the liver in much higher concentrations as compared to other tissues. Fructose increases protein levels of all de novo lipogenesis enzymes during its conversion into triglycerides, which is the storage form of fat. Additionally, fructose supports lipogenesis in the setting of insulin resistant.
We're only halfway through this video. I'm just going to go ahead and destroy this argument, and we can stop there. So his argument about fructose. Basically, fructose has to be metabolized by the liver. It upregulates de novo lipogenesis. You're going to get fat. You're going to be fucked. It's going to really mess things up. Very scientific. So if that was true, we would expect that people who are on a very high fructose diet would have larger deposition of adipose compared to people who are on a lower fructose diet when the calories are matched. Further, we'd expect to see more fructose deposition around the liver. Recent study fed 150 grams of additional fructose, 150 grams of pure fructose to subjects versus a control group. No difference in body fat levels. So what happened was actually the people getting the 150 grams of fructose a day, actually they stopped, they didn't eat as much at their other meals. They were not told to do that. They just didn't eat as much because they weren't as hungry. They basically ate the same calories as the other group and they didn't deposit any extra liver fat or adipose anywhere on the body compared to the control group. So if all of Thomas's claims are true, why, when this group getting a massive, and I mean massive amount of fructose, high fructose corn syrup is about 55% fructose, okay? So let's say you're somebody who's drinking a 6-pack of soda a day. That's about 40 to 50 grams of high fructose corn syrup per can of soda, per 12-ounce can of soda. So you're looking at about 30 to 35 grams per can of fructose. So if you were having 6, that'd be about 180 grams of fructose a day. So you'd need to have, let's say, 5 cans of soda per day to hit this level. And that's a level that still didn't show any difference in fat deposition when calories were equated. Now, that being said, this is what's going to happen with these people. They straw man my argument. I am not advocating for the consumption of high fructose corn syrup. I think eating a lot of high fructose corn syrup is a bad idea. Why? Because those foods are ultra processed, they are not satiating, and typically people eat them on top of their normal diet, don't account for the calories, and end up over consuming calories and do gain fat. But do you need to be worried about an apple, banana, pears, watermelon? No, you don't. Do you know most fruits at most are 50% fructose? They're much less dense in energy compared to a soda. People talk about bananas. Oh my God, don't have a banana, it's so high GI. A large banana has about 30 grams of carbohydrate in it, 15 of which approximately are fructose. You need to eat 10 large bananas a day. And even then, you're not getting to a level of fructose that has been shown to cause problems in terms of fat deposition and liver fat deposition when calories are equated. Now, I'm sure Thomas would try to argue that people would be prone to over-consuming bananas. I can tell you in my 20 years of studying nutritional science, I have never heard the following phrase, oh God, I would be able to lose weight, but I just can't stop eating bananas. Thomas is one of the worst purveyors of pseudoscience. The reason being, he knows just enough scientific jargon to sound like he knows what he's talking about. He cherry picks studies, he pulls out isolated variables, and he does not look at the whole picture. He does not give you all the information. He seems to be a nice guy. He's always been very nice to me. But that doesn't change the fact that he talks absolute horseshit. So, sorry, Thomas. I'm happy to see your rebuttal. I'm happy to discuss any of these points with you, but there's no excuse for cherry picking and only picking out stuff that reinforces your bias. So I'm welcome to examine other data, but until you can show that fructose, calorie per calorie, causes more fat deposition than other forms of carbohydrate, sorry, bro. That dog ain't gonna hunt. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe. If you fucking hated this video because you love Thomas DeLauer and he's just your man crush, then make sure you go click the links in the description, buy some of my shit, because I know Thomas loves it when you buy my shit and I fucking hate it when you buy my shit. Catch you next week.